Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rachel and I am knitting, not right now, but most of the time. And I have been knitting. At the beginning of September, I uploaded a video that walked you through my September knitting goals. September has now come and gone. It is the early days of October, so I thought it's high time that I updated you on my September knitting goals and also shared with you my goals for October. So let's get into it. In my September knitting goals video, I identified 6 items that I wanted to focus on during the month of September. And I am, I think, happy to report that I accomplished most of them. Not all of them. I'm not perfect, but I made a considerable dent in that list of goals. So I'm just going to go through in order of the goals that I mentioned in my September knitting goals video and update you on where I am in the process. So first things first, my first goal for September was to crank socks for myself and for my husband to wear on our Irish knitting tour trip. And that gets a big check mark next to it. That is complete. I cranked myself 3 pairs of socks. Yeah, I think 3 pairs of socks. I ended up with a Craft Nook sock, a Game Cabinet sock, and a Marbles sock from the Cabin collection. And I'll put photos of those socks here. So 3 pairs of socks from Cascade Yarn for myself. You know, come to think of it, I'm not sure if I cranked the Game Cabinet and Craft Nook socks in September, or maybe they were at the end of August. Let me take a moment to fact check myself. So yes, I don't know why I was second guessing myself, but I cranked 3 pairs of socks for myself in the month of September and 1 pair of socks for my husband. He also picked colorways from the Cabin collection. He went with contrast socks with fuchsia flower as the main color and purple underpants as the contrast color. And his socks turned out so well. I need to get another sock set of that pairing, fuchsia flower and purple underpants, for myself. So our first goal for the month of September, complete. Flying colors, 4 pairs of socks, some for me, a pair for DJ. We're ready to go for Ireland. So our first goal checked off. The second goal was a secret Ireland project. Now, that didn't happen. It was canceled. And there's a few reasons for that, which I will be able to tell you in the coming videos. But the non-spoiler version is that was supplemented from outside of myself. So the thing I wanted to accomplish with this Secret Ireland project is still being accomplished, but I didn't have to do it myself. So the Secret Ireland project was not completed in the way I thought it would be and completed in another way. It'll all make sense in the coming videos. So the second goal for September was not knit by me or cranked by me on my knitting machine. It was a box that was checked with a collaboration outside of my own skill set. Okay, so anyway, without spoiling things, let's move on to the third September knitting goal, which was to get as far as I could on my Lanark sweater. And let me go grab it. Okay, I'm back with my project bag. I had to go get it from my project bag basket. And before I show you how far I got on my Lanark, maybe take a second to think where you think I got. How much faith do you have in me? And I will either make you feel proud or make you feel disappointed. Do you have your guess? Here's how far I got. Basically, not very far. Yeah, not very far at all. I am still on the collar of my Lanark. The Lanark, if you're not familiar, is a half fisherman's rib. Technically, I think this stitch in the pattern is half brioche, so go into that knowingly if you're planning to knit this. and it is a pullover with a quarter zip at the neck. So I'm still on the collar. I decided that there was no way that I would be able to finish this garment to wear in Ireland. So I decided to cut my losses and focus the rest of the month on projects I actually could complete in time and that were more of a high priority to complete in time, whether I knew I needed to wear it in Ireland or I was making it for someone else to wear in Ireland. So this had the pause button activated for this project. So again, another goal that was not completed. Well, I guess technically it still was, because my goal was to get as far as I could on the Lanark. I wasn't going to beat myself up if I didn't finish it. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not beating myself up. That's as far as I got on the Lanark, and it is not going anywhere. It will be waiting for me when I get home, and that's the great thing about whips is they don't expire. You don't have to worry if they need to stay on the back burner for a little while, and that is the case with my Lanark. So we have our first 3 goals addressed. Socks for Ireland, check. Secret Ireland project, not really checked. Lanark sweater, not really checked. The next goal I had was to complete or work on my mother's zig. Now, for some background on the zig situation. You may already know this, but if you don't, I made a zig for myself earlier this year. It was in partnership with Cascade Yarn, meaning they sent me the yarn for free, and I was able to knit the zig for myself. So for my mom's zig, I helped her order from webs or yarn.com to get her sweater quantities sent to me so I could knit her a sweater to match me. Now, when I ordered that yarn, I dug through my cedar chest behind me for the label for the green I used in my zig. Because Cascade sent me that yarn, I didn't know for sure what color it was because I didn't personally order it. I had an idea of what it was, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I was looking for the Cascade Yarn label so I could know what to order on behalf of my mom. So here comes the first setback I experienced with knitting this garment, which was when about a week into September, I went to wind my first skein to cast on. I wound it, and then I went to grab my zig to get my gauge, and I realized this is not the same green. This is wrong. This is all wrong. So what I had done was I found the label to my green ranunculus Cascade yarn, and I basically got the incorrect colorway number. So I had to call my mom up right away. We had no time to waste. I said, I'm so sorry. I ordered the wrong green. We need to reorder, or do you like this green? And she said, no, we have to match. So of course we returned the incorrect green, except for the skein that I wound before I realized my mistake, reordered the correct green. I now know this is olive heather. Okay. This one, you're gonna laugh. This one is called Ireland. That's like just rude irony. But yes, olive heather. And so I didn't get the yarn until mid-September, like September 15th or something I cast on. And today is October 3rd. It's October 3rd. And this is how far I am. Wait, this is my zig. This is a complete zig, but it's not the project that I wanted to show you. Let me go get my mom's zig. Am I a mess or what? I thought, oh wow, like miraculously this project is done. No, it's not. I'm just an idiot. Okay, so here's how far I actually am on my mom's zig. I have the body done, the collar done, and one sleeve started. So this week, it is my most pressing task to finish this item. It is totally doable. I just have 2 sleeves left and blocking. So I think I can actually finish this today, block it, put it through the spin cycle to get out as much moisture as possible, lay flat to dry. I'm gonna lay it flat to dry, I think, on our patio. So it's out of direct sunlight, but it's going to get the heat from the outdoors to help it dry faster. So this is not stressing me out at all. This is totally doable in the time frame I have. but this is where I'm at. By the end of September, I had everything done that you see here, except I hadn't picked this sleeve up yet. So I had the full body and the collar complete. So that's pretty good progress for 2 weeks, I think. This is a worsted weight pattern, color work, and I added several inches of length to it. The pattern calls for it to be a little cropped. My mom doesn't like cropped sweaters, so there is some considerable length added. And that is the status of the zig. So I'm really looking forward to matching with my mom. I think it will be really special and fun, but we're not there yet. Still need to get those sleeves completed, and that's my goal for today. So the fourth goal for September, my mom's zig, is still in progress, but I'm very proud of the status it's currently at. I think I made a lot of fast progress, and I'm proud of that. So yes. All right, so the next goal, the fifth goal that I had for the month of September, was to finish my sheep camp. You may notice I'm wearing it. It's done, it's finished. This was a labor of love. There were lots of setbacks, lots of frogging, lots of modifications, but I'm finally so happy with the finished result. It's wearable, I'm packing it with me, it is going international, and I couldn't be happier. I have a full video going over the modifications I made and my process of knitting the sheep camp from whip to finished object. So if you're interested in that, I'll link it up here for your viewing pleasure. So goal number 5, a big check mark for that. Sheep camp is done. It's perfect. I love it. I will say, quick plug, this is knit up in Treehouseknits non-superwash DK. It is an incredible base. You've probably heard me say this before. I'm so sorry if you're sick of me saying this, if you're sick of hearing it, but frankly, it's the truth. And sometimes you need to hear the truth. This base is incredible. If you told me that this was a cashmere blend base, I would have no choice to believe you because it is simply that soft. If you've been wanting to try non-superwash yarn, I highly recommend Treehouseknits. I have an affiliate link in my bio if you're interested. Not my bio, the video box description. I get Instagram and YouTube confused, so sorry. Okay, but too long didn't read. The sheep camp is done. Okay. My 6th goal for the month of September was to de-stash. Basically, any yarn that didn't have a project plan, any yarn that wasn't speaking to me, I wanted to de-stash, and I did. I de-stashed a ton. I don't even remember all that I de-stashed. I de-stashed needle cords, I de-stashed needle tips, I de-stashed yarn, I de-stashed stitch markers. Just nothing was safe. And there's still some things that I want to de-stash, but haven't been able to. So that will probably be an ongoing process, but I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and say check for that 6th September goal. Now, that's not the only thing that happened in September. I had those 6 goals and I met some of them, passed with flying colors, some of them not so much, as we've just discussed, but that's not all that I accomplished. I also did a serotonin cast on. If you follow Leslie of Knit California, you're familiar with the concept of serotonin cast on, and that's basically the rule that I'm going to live by moving forward. So this was a serotonin cast on. This is The Simple Thing by Melina Brell. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and if I do say so, it is a great dupe for the Sophie shawl. I'm going to be knitting a similar item during the Ireland trip. So this took about 2.5 or so skeins of fingering weight held double. I used Tidal and Current fibers, Aslan's fingering weight. It knit up really nicely. I love the color. This is from a one-of-a-kind batch, so sorry if you love it and you're jealous, but it's mine and you can't have it. Neener, neener, neener. Okay. Sorry to be rude, but it's just the truth. So that was not on my radar when I started September. It was not on my list of goals, but nevertheless, I did it. I used nearly 3 skeins that I've had on my yarn wall for many, many months. And I am excited that this is now a wearable item that I love so much. So I'm excited to make another of this. I'm going to make it in green. And actually my plan for that, well, I'll save that and I'll tell you in the October goals section. But really happy with this. I would definitely recommend this pattern if you want a meditative knit. Great for TV knitting or out and about knitting. You can easily put it down, pick it back up, no stress. So this was not on my radar, but it was knit up. Now, 2 other things that were not on my radar when I started the month of September, or maybe they were, but they weren't on my official September goals list, and that's my fault for omitting them. But I have 2 things that I knit up, 2 hats. Excuse me, 2 hats. 2 hats. Okay, so the first hat, this hat is for my dad. I hope he doesn't mind that I'm trying it on. This is a hat knit up in 1 skein of fingering weight yarn. There's a hair in my mouth. 1 skein, it wasn't a hair, it was a yarn fiber. Hazards of the job. So, okay, this is 1 skein of fingering weight yarn from Cesium Yarn. This is the colorway Fixtures from the Cabin collection. It's a orange toned black tonal. And my dad picked this color because I said, hey, do you want a hat in cabin yarn? And he said, yes, please. And I said, okay, pick your color. And lo and behold, this is what he picked. This is the classic ribbed hat from Pearl Soho. It's also a free pattern, and it takes 1 to 2 skeins of fingering yarn held double or 1 to 2 skeins of DK weight yarn held single. I only had 1 skein of fixtures, and I made the adult large, which according to the pattern should take a little bit more than 1 skein, but because I only had 1 skein, I did modify the pattern slightly, and I knit 9 inches of the hat instead of 9.5 before I started the decreases. Okay, so there's that hat. Not on my radar at the start of the month, but nevertheless, here we have a finished object at the end of September. Now, let me put this back on. I'm not sure if you can see this, but it's really pointy on my head. I think that the combination of my head shape and all my hair, I don't know if I love this shape on me. So I wanted to make a hat for myself, but with different crown shaping. So that's what I did. I took my fingering weight skein of Carpet, which is also the color I'm knitting my Lanark in, really, really beautiful green. And I basically followed the instructions for the classic ribbed hat, except instead of having equidistant decreases around the perimeter of the brim, I kind of kept the center stitches how they are for what are the words to describe this? I kept the center stitches, I don't know, normal, how like they're just knit normal, and then I decreased on the side of them. I'm currently knitting another hat with this method and not using the classic ribbed hat as my foundation. I'm trying to figure out how to make it into a pattern. But you can see that the crown shaping makes it so it's much more round on my head. And I just like this look a lot more, I think, for myself. So this is a hat for me to wear in Ireland. So these 3 items, 2 hats and the shawl around my neck, were not on my radar at the start of the month of September. But I'm so glad that I knit them, and I'm so glad that I didn't decide not to and say, no, I have this rigid list of goals that I need to stick to. And if I had done that, I would have missed out on some really, really enjoyable knits and some really fun finished objects. This, I think my dad will cherish. I'm going to cherish this. This shawl is going to get lots of wear. So I'm just really happy to have, the flexibility and the mindset that it's okay to deviate from your to-do list. You don't have to be so rigid. So that was good for me. Another thing that I worked on in the month of September was a hat for DJ. So just like I have just mentioned, I am trying to make my own pattern for these crown decreases. So I knit the hat to the length that I want. And now I've started decreases, but I messed them up a little bit, and I realized the hard way last night that trying to fix mistakes with black yarn in low light is not going to end well for anyone. So I need to frog back, I think, to the very beginning of the decreases, but this is something I also worked on in September, and I will finish this week along with my mom's zig to bring to Ireland to make sure they're enjoyed by their recipient on that trip. So that is the report of what I knit in September, both from my list of September knitting goals and from outside my list of September knitting goals. So I'm pretty proud of that. I think that's good. Even though I didn't hit all of the 6 things that I wanted to accomplish in full, I still have a lot of good things to show for that month. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really happy with that. Now, I want to talk to you about my goals for October. So the first goal I have to go over is something I've already hinted at and, prepped you for, which is another simple thing. And in fact, I'll just put this around my neck so you can have a visual of what the heck I'm talking about when I say I'm going to knit another simple thing. Let's just lean into this here. Okay, so I'm going to make another simple thing. I have had 4 skeins of green long dog yarn colorways in my stash for the better part of a year. They're on her since discontinued 4-ply sock base, which is 75-25 superwash merino nylon blend, 463 yards per 100 grams. I love this base. So I have these 4 skeins, and I've known that I want to make a faded object with them. So starting from the darkest green and ending with the lightest green, or vice versa. So over the course of a year or so, I collected single skeins of greens from Long Dog Yarn that I thought would go together. I didn't buy them all at the same time, but they've just been sitting in my cedar chest waiting to be called up, waiting to be ready to be knit up. Initially, I thought maybe I would make So Faded or What the Fade. I'm not sure which one it is, but the faded fingering weight pullover from Andrea Mowry. But I wasn't sure if I really wanted to commit to a fingering weight garment. Those take so long, especially when you're fat like me. So, sorry, I just didn't know if I wanted to do that. I didn't know if I was ready. And maybe one day I would be ready, but that would mean they would languish in my cedar chest for even longer. So, I found the perfect solution. I'm going to make another simple thing by Melina Brell with this green. So I've already wound this yarn in the fade I want it to be. So it's out of order now, but basically I have 4 skeins. I've wound them into cakes of the yarn doubled. So this is a DK weight item. So I'm going to hold 2 strands of fingering weight together. So what I did was I wound a cake of the first color. I believe this is from the Lord of the Rings. Is this Lord of the Rings Shortcut to Mushrooms? I know one of them is a Lord of the Rings colorway. One of them is the Wuthering Heights colorway from her Book Nook Club. One of them, this is Army of the Dead from the Lord of the Rings. And one of them is Pride and Prejudice. You know what? Okay. This is Pride and Prejudice. This is Shortcut to Mushrooms. Or whatever that Lord of the Rings one is. This is Wuthering Heights because I remember it had that blue. And this is Army of the Dead. So I've wound cakes of those single colorways double. So this is already wound with 2 strands of the fingering weight. Sorry, it's, 2 strands already wound into a cake. So this is already ready to go. Both strands are the same colorway. Then I have a smaller cake that is 1 strand of my first colorway and 1 strand of the next colorway. So, focus please. When this cake runs out, I'll use this cake to transition to this cake, okay? So the fade will be a little bit more seamless, and then so on and so forth. I have my in-between cakes with 1 strand from each colorway that sandwiches it all the way down to the end of my fade. So I think that is going to make a really beautiful shawl. I'm going to change the shape of this green shawl. Instead of having it be a triangle shape like my purple one is, I'm going to attempt to do it so I increase and decrease on both sides, and then it will kind of, in my last video I described the shape as a snake that ate something big and is digesting it. So if you can picture like a long skinny thing with a big bump in the middle, but it's like gradual. That's the shape I'm going for with this green shawl. And my plan is to have this be an exclusive Ireland knit, meaning I am not going to start knitting it until the trip starts. And I think I'm actually going to cheat a little with that, because technically the trip starts once I'm at the airport, right? So I think I'm going to start knitting this once I am, waiting to board my flight, and we'll see how far I get. I think I can definitely finish this on the trip. The reason that I've selected this pattern is because it uses enough yarn that I know it will keep me occupied, but also it's not really a complicated pattern. So if I'm distracted, or if I have to put it down quickly, or something catches our eye and we want to go off and do something, I can do that and set this down without feeling stressed that I'll forget where I'm at and lose progress or anything like that. So that is my first October goal, to complete my next shawl, green for Ireland, and a nice fade to boot. So I'm really excited about this shawl because I think that it will get a lot of wear, and it's just going to be fun to finally use the green skeins that I've had for a while now, to get to see them knit up. So I'm looking forward to that. My second and third goals for the month of October, which again will be done this week, is to finish this hat for DJ for the trip and the zig for my mom. And I'm also wanting to make a hat on the trip, or bring a hat project. So I'm going to pick a skein of fingering weight yarn to hold double. I haven't settled on one yet, but I do want to take a hat project on the trip. Now, the rest of my goals for the month of October are totally up in the air. This is kind of freeing. This is kind of exciting. There are a lot of options that I could take, a lot of avenues I could explore. For instance, I really want to get more of the Treehouseknits yarn that I was gifted during the summer on my needles. So I have yarn to make a Kal cardigan by Claire Jackson of Perfectly Knotted. I have yarn to make the Corran Cardigan by Rebecca Clow of the Creabea. And I have my Rory whip for the Field Day Cardigan by Ozetta. So one of those would be great to make some progress on. I really, really enjoy knitting with Treehouse yarn. So I want to do more of that. Now that I've got this big thing that I've been looking forward to for months and months and prepping for months and months, that will be done very soon. I'll kind of have, I don't know, the brain space to work through my stash a little bit more. So that's something that I could do when I get back. But I also know that I'll probably buy yarn while I'm gone. So I don't want to say, it's my goal to work with XYZ yarn that I already have, because I may get a sweater quantity that just is begging to be cast on right away, and that might take my attention for the rest of October. But the things I know for sure that I want to focus on in October is the green shawl that I'm bringing with me, the hat project that I'm bringing with me, and the loose ends I need to tie up this week before the trip begins. So kind of straightforward and to the point, but also not for the month of October. And that's just the way it is sometimes. So yeah, so that's it. That is the update of my September knitting goals. I accomplished a lot. I failed at some things. That's okay. Who cares? It's not that serious. It's literally the hobby I do for enjoyment. It's not life or death. So that's what it is. And then my goals for the month of October. I will check in at the end of the month and let you know what happened. Did I knit what I thought I was going to knit? Did I not? Did I knit something totally different? Did I don't know, finish all my whips and destash all my skeins? Probably not, but come back at the end of October to see. You never know. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you don't already, and hit that notification bell to be notified of my next upload. Last but not least, head over to Instagram and follow me at Rachel is Knitting if you don't already. All right, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.